Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. My name is Stacy Boone. I am the Director of Post-Secondary Partnerships with Achieve Atlanta. Very excited to be part of your next steps and part of this next chapter of your educational journey. I will be presenting, as Ms. Suzanne said, with one of our esteemed colleagues and partners. I will let her introduce herself and then we can get started.
Hello, everyone. My name is Khadijah Hill. I work with Beyond 12, who is a coaching partner of Achieve Atlanta. We support students socially, academically, emotionally through your college journey, through college coaching. And I serve as an associate director of programs with Beyond 12. I went to APS, I went to Mays. So I'm a Mays graduate. All right, we bleed blue and gold. And I attended the University of San Francisco for my undergrad. So I also went to school out of state. I was once in y'all's shoes and just excited to give y'all some tips, some pointers, answer any questions you have alongside Stacy.
So again, we want to just go over some things that you generally want to know and want to be thinking about and asking as you attend a school out of state. We've got a relatively short time together, considering all of the information that could be shared in this session. So we do want to move through quickly. However, we do want to make sure that things are making sense to you, that things are very plain for you, and we want to make room for any questions or anything you'd like to share or contribute to the rest of the room. We do want this to feel as conversational as it could possibly feel. With that, do want to differentiate between questions of clarity and questions of curiosity before we get started. Question of clarity says, I'm not going to understand anything you say beyond this if you don't explain what you just said. If you don't understand something, please interrupt us and know that the lights are in our eyes, so it might be difficult. Get our attention, please. We want to make sure everyone in the room is on the same page. However, if you have a question of curiosity, which means, I wonder how this applies to this thing that happened to my cousin last Tuesday at 4:07 p.m., hold that question until the end. Hopefully we'll have some time to address those one-on-ones. You can always email us if necessary, but we want to make sure we're able to move through. So again, clarity, speak up. This is a place to start practicing that self-advocacy. Curiosity, hold on to that for a second. Everybody clear? I want to remind you all of the Achieve Atlanta commitment that you all took when you got here earlier today. And want to point out one of the most important parts of that commitment is to remain connected and make sure you're meeting regularly with an advisor and remaining connected to your coach. This is important because all of the other things on that commitment will be fulfilled if you are connected to the people who already know these things and who can prompt you and remind you and help you prepare and help you troubleshoot if you run into barriers. And I'll let Khadijah tell a bit about how Beyond 12 plays into that and those supports they can offer.
Definitely. So how Beyond 12 plays into the commitment you all signed as Achieve Atlanta scholars, you guys know, and I'm sure are aware that Achieve Atlanta is your scholarship organization providing you your financial support through college. Beyond 12 as a partner is providing you that emotional support throughout your college journey. And what that looks like for us is it's a virtual model. We have college coaches on our team who will call you on a monthly or bi-monthly cadence, whichever one works better for you. So that's every 2 weeks or once a month to check in, to build a relationship with you, to see how you're doing, to answer any of those curious questions, as Stacy was saying, or any relevant questions to your experience as you navigate college. With this commitment that you signed, one that applies directly to that relationship you're building with Achieve Atlanta is making sure you're connecting with your college advisor. Making sure you're connecting with your designated college advisor that Achieve Atlanta assigns to you. It's really important that y'all answer our calls, respond to our texts and emails and things of that nature, because we're not here as a means to be a second set of parents or to tell on you, but really want to make sure that as you're leaving home, going to new states, that you feel comfortable, that you feel like you're finding a sense of belonging, that you're understanding how to navigate your campuses, and that you have a voice that's close to home, that's outside of your parents to really lean on. So it's a little bit about our program, and when we get further into the presentation, I'll definitely give y'all more insight into what that'll look like.
And so what we want to do now is go over a few quick important dates, and once you've got those locked in, we can get into how to actually prepare for that college transition and that experience. So the first thing you want to do is raise your hand if you've already submitted your enrollment deposit with your college. Oh, I love it. Give
Look at
yourselves a round of
y'all.
applause. Everybody's on it.
Okay.
Go ahead and give us some snaps. Thank you. If you've not already done that, please reach out to your college if you're serious about attending. One of the things that you want to keep in mind, especially for out-of-state schools, especially if the school is competitive and if they have a wait list, is that if they don't hear from you, they may give that spot away. So if you're serious about that college, you want to make sure that you are doing whatever you need to do to show that commitment. With that being said, if you are serious about the college, but you haven't made the deposit because maybe you don't have the money right now, maybe things are a little bit tight, reach out to the college anyway. Sometimes there are offices that have a secret pot of money just for that. Sometimes they have waivers that you can apply to. Sometimes they'll take that enrollment deposit and put it on the back end so that when your financial aid comes, it just becomes part of your general bill. But again, another point of self-advocacy is for you to reach out and state your needs. Ask for what you need. And this is a great place to start if the situation I just described sounds like you. Same thing with the housing deposit. You're going to need somewhere to live, and most schools are going to require you to stay on campus. Make sure you're on it. Make sure you don't wait until the last second and then you're stuck with the apartment that's $3,000 a month because all the suites are gone because you waited until the very last second.
I would definitely add to lean on your college coach with Beyond 12 for things of this instance. When you come up and you have these deadlines, you may not have the money and you need support advocating for yourself because it's your first time in these situations. We're there to support you in wordsmithing that language. We're there to make sure if you're writing an email, we can help you write that if you need it. Or if you just don't know where to go, helping you find resources or different departments on campus to seek that support. It's really in y'all's hands. Y'all's future is in your hands in that way, and stepping outside of Georgia to go to school, I'm proud of y'all off bat because you're stepping outside of your comfort zone in a way that is really, really big at your age and at your maturity levels, but at the same time, asking for support is going to be so crucial to make sure you're successful on this journey.
And I'll also add to that, the next important deadline is June 15. June 15 is when the fall update for Achieve Atlanta is released. So on June 15, we will send you your fall update application and you will indicate to us where you plan to attend. It is important that you check your email and that you don't scroll past it or make a mistake and delete it or send it somewhere else or say, I'll do this later. Make sure you do this as soon as possible because this is what tells Achieve Atlanta where to send your check. And if you don't tell us where to send the check, we don't know where to send the check. But also understand, it is a literal check that is being put in the mail and will have to crawl across the country to wherever you plan to go. And there are payment deadlines, right? You all have probably already started getting those emails of this is when your next payment deadline is due, or this is what the cadence in that plan is, and this is how you let us know where the money's coming from, and you need to accept your financial aid package, and we are part of that package. We're so glad to be part of that package, but you have to tell us where to send that check. So that is very important. And once you've done that, make sure you are immersing yourself into college life as much as you can before you get there. If you know that there are things you're interested in on campus, start looking those things up now. A lot of colleges will let you exchange information with your roommates. Make sure you're reaching out to your roommate. They're going to probably be the first person you meet on campus. They'll be able to go to parties with you. They'll be able to go to all the meet and greets with you. They'll go to the organization meets with you. And you'll have someone to kind of go there and be that buffer as you start to grow and spread your wings. But it is so important that you start trying to build those relationships now and that you look forward to doing that before you get on campus. And throughout this entire process, two things I want to remind you of. Make sure you are checking your FAFSA status with the financial aid office because FAFSA verification is real, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But just because you did the FAFSA already, which I hope all of you did, just because you did the FAFSA already does not mean you're done. If your school needs additional paperwork, your FAFSA is not considered complete until you turn in that additional paperwork and they approve it. So please do not ignore those emails. Please do not wait until the last moment. And then make sure you're responsive to Beyond 12 messaging, and I'll let Khadijah say a bit about that, and to the coach when they reach out to you.
Yeah, so Beyond 12 messaging. Once you all leave this space, As partners, Achieve Atlanta and Beyond 12 will connect, we will get your information, and we will enter you all into a text campaign that we are starting over the summer. Because your preparation really starts now. As Stacey was saying, you got roommates to pick, you got housing to select, you got to figure out which dorm you're going to, buy your dorm stuff, get your flights, or figure out how you're driving to your college campus, all those things. And so we really want to make sure that y'all have support along that journey. You're going to get your first class scheduled. You're going to want to purchase books early. You're going to want to figure out where things are on campus. If you're doing summer bridge programs, maybe you have questions about that. And so once we get you all's information into our system, we're going to be able to start texting you, sending you information, or seeing if you have any questions and need any support with your preparation over the summer. After that summer period ends, which should probably begin sometime mid-June and go through July, Achieve Atlanta will email you all and confirm to you who will be your specific designated Beyond 12 coach. A lot of our coaches are from Atlanta. Some of our coaches are not from Atlanta. So there's a diversity there in who our coaches will be. But we definitely try to match coaches best to students' experience, what they're looking for, things of that nature. So once you get that email designating who your specific college coach will be, you will then shortly after that get an email from your college coach introducing themselves, letting them know a little bit about who they are, getting ready to connect with you, and they're going to reach out to you specifically asking for a day and time that works best for you to connect over the phone. That can be done on Zoom, that can be done on FaceTime, that can be done just call my number. Whatever works best for y'all, we meet you where you're at on that aspect. So sometime early August, you should expect that email and first call to happen with your coach, and we're with you for the rest of the ride. Any questions about that? Yeah. That's an amazing question. Thank you so much for asking that. So the coaches that work with Beyond 12 are on 2-year contracts. So that means if you receive a coach your freshman year, they're probably going to stay with you your freshman and sophomore year, and you'll get another coach your junior, senior year, which isn't necessarily a good or bad thing. I can definitely understand wanting someone there all 4 years to understand your journey. But where you are freshman, sophomore year to where you are junior, senior year may be a bit different, so the change in time frame can be ideal.
All right, thank you for that question. Let's get into the biggest thing we need to cover. We need you to retain as much information as you can, but we need you to absolutely make sure this is something you're talking about and thinking about even after you leave today. 44% is the $20,000 decision. These are screenshots of College Scorecard. This is the online tool that the federal government uses to share information with students about colleges they might be interested in. Achieve Atlanta, for students who are going to school outside of the state, requires that that school has at least a 44% graduation rate in most cases. So what you want to do is go to collegescorecard.ed.gov. It is a government website. Search for the school you're interested in, and then look for that graduation rate. As you'll see, the first example is above 44%. It is an eligible institution. The next example you see does not meet 44%. It is not an eligible institution. So what you want to do is make a list of all of the schools that you're interested in, and then go to collegescorecard.ed.gov. Don't look at the FAFSA data. Don't look at iPads. Don't look at bigfuture.org. This is the tool that Achieve Atlanta relies on for matching. Should you find that the school that you're interested in, your dream school, does not meet that 44%, there is an appeals process. So if the school that you're interested in does not meet that 44%, you can submit an appeal to Achieve Atlanta. And there's a committee that comes together to look at that appeal and see whether you have a strong case. Because that 44% indicates that that school does a pretty good job of graduating students. And we don't want to send you somewhere where you're not likely to graduate. There are also students who might say, well, if I'm the only person who graduates, I'm just going to make sure I'm the only person. Like, at least I graduated. But how does that help you when you need your alumni network to help you find your first job? How does that help you when they're calling 3 people who graduated before to ask for money that they could be turning into scholarships for you? There's no one for them to call if no one graduates. There's no one for you to meet and ask for a lunch meeting with. There's no one for you to lean on in your network. There's no one for you to connect to if no one's graduating. And also, your chances of graduating completely diminishes if they're not meeting a certain standard. And those circumstances are not always because of the student. Sometimes that indicates that the school doesn't have the appropriate supports necessary to support students. So it doesn't make it your fault, but it is something you want to be aware of. Now, if in hearing that you find that your dream school is still the school you want to fight for, you can submit an appeal, but understand there are certain things that the committee is looking for, and there are other things that the committee cannot consider because it's not practical. So there are some students who will submit an appeal that says, this is my dream school, this is the school I've wanted to go to since I was 5, and they'll write this beautiful essay about how they've had these placards on the wall, and they've got all the t-shirts, they've got the notebooks, they've got the lanyards, they've been on 13 college trips since kindergarten, and this is the place for them. But that doesn't tell us how the institution can support you. So that's not something we can consider. It being your dream school, unfortunately, is not enough. So we need to know that this is a practical place for you. So things like cost. How much is this school charging you? Understand that going to school out of state means you're likely paying a higher cost because you don't pay taxes in that state, you don't get the subsidized tuition rate. Some schools will do reciprocity or if you're within a certain radius, and that's case by case. But by and large, out-of-state schools typically cost more money, and you want to make sure that that school can afford to carry you. So if you're saying this is my dream school, but your dream school is asking you to take out $20,000 in loans, it's not very practical. How are you going to come up with $20,000 every year? So we want to see in that appeal that you have a plan for being able to afford that school. We're also going to be looking at, again, that graduation rate. If that graduation rate for the institution isn't very high, are you going there for a specific program? Maybe the school itself has a 3% graduation rate, but maybe you want to be a doctor, and everyone who goes through their pre-med program gets into a strong medical school. That's a good case to make. Maybe the school's not doing so well overall, but this program that I'm interested in is. Or maybe you want to study underwater basket weaving with glow sticks. Maybe that's the major you're looking for. I would not recommend that major, but, follow your dreams, all right? We've got them all on the wall. But if that's the major you're interested in and that's not offered at a school in Georgia, that's a reason for you to submit that appeal and say, this is what I'm really passionate about, and I just can't find it across the state. Your dream school needs to be caring about and supporting you as much as you care about it. So we're going to welcome Courtney, one of our partners from One Goal.
Hi, everybody. My name is Courtney. I'm the Managing Director of Program with One Goal, which there are many One Goal fellows in this audience tonight. So first, congratulations to all of you for being here. So exciting. I just want to take a quick second to remind you that One Goal is a 3-year program. So next year, when you graduate, when you're in school, wherever you are in school, One Goal is going to be your coach for this first year after high school. And so when you heard about the expectations for having monthly check-ins and responding to text messages and letting us know what's going on and reaching out when you need support, if you are a One Goal fellow, so if you are in the One Goal class at Mays, North Atlanta, South Atlanta, Jackson, Carver Early College, or Best Academy, then we're talking to you right now, right? So Achieve Atlanta check-ins are One Goal check-ins. You are satisfying both things at the same time. So I just want to take a second to remind you all of that, and I'm really excited that y'all are here.
Thank you, Courtney. We love a cameo. All right, but are there any questions at all about the appeals process or choosing that out-of-state school before we move on to how to prep financially in general? So if you are interested in appealing for that school, you need to email scholarship@achieveatlanta.org. Scholarship, and that is singular, @achieveatlanta.org. And if you're not sure, just go to the Achieve Atlanta website, call someone, send someone an email, and say, what do I do? We'll figure it out. So how do we prepare financially? The first thing I want to do is, again, mention verification.
Verification is not fun. Statistically, verification targets people that look like us. And so I'm going to name that as well, from what I've learned in my degree of critical diversity with an emphasis in African American studies. But at the same time, basically what verification is doing is fine-tuning, fine-picking at your financial aid application, finding an issue, and then saying, oh, if you don't fix this, you get nothing. that's what the verification process is kind of set up to do. And so you just want to really make sure that you're submitting your financial aid on time, that you're understanding the application. If you have any questions or any confusion about the application, because it's really a different language. It's a new space. If, as a fellow Atlanta Public School students, we didn't pay to go to school. But in college, you're paying to go to school, and you're understanding this financial breakdown. You're understanding what loans versus grants are. You're understanding what subsidized versus unsubsidized is. You're understanding if you don't meet a certain satisfactory academic performance GPA, you might lose some of this financial aid. And it's all a lot to take in as you're navigating this new journey at the same time. Absolutely. And so you really want to make sure you're asking questions. You know people in the financial aid office. Some campuses only have 2 or 3 people working in the financial aid office. And so it's definitely a space in a department where you want to walk in and they'd be like, oh, hey, Khadijah, what do you need? What's going on? Like, so you have that understanding, especially as they're sending, as Achieve Atlanta is sending your scholarship checks, you want to make sure that checks don't fall off desk, or they get lost in the mail, or you have a deadline to meet to apply for your housing. You want to make sure that your money is there on time, your bills are paid on time, and that you're in a good space. I kind of veered off there. But yeah.
I mean, no, but that's all part of it. And none of that can happen without completing verification. And understand that it can look different for everyone. Sometimes verification is, oh, we need you to submit a copy of your social security card or a copy of your license or your ID. And we just need to take a picture of it, put it in your file, check on the government website that we did that, and you're good to go. Sometimes they'll say, we need your tax transcripts and your tax return transcripts, and we need you to fill out a household size verification form and then turn it back into us. And then when you turn that back in, it goes to the bottom of a pile underneath all these other papers that other people turned in first. And then it's literally someone's job in the financial aid office to take that first piece of paper and match everything to a screen and then click yes. And you're waiting for them to work through that. Sometimes that can take 6 to 8 weeks. Sometimes longer. I will also say, if you are not using the IRS tool, if you are not using the IRS retrieval tool, you are almost guaranteeing you're going to be selected for verification. So if that is the tool, if you choose not to use that tool, you want to start ordering that paperwork from the IRS website right now. And you want to be responsive. Please understand that some schools may be kind and give you a call. Others will send you an email and say, we've done our part. And with you going far away from home, you do not want to be 3 states over and then be sent back home because you didn't turn in paperwork in time. Make sense? Any questions? Any feelings in the room? We're all right? Fantastic. All right, so the next thing you want to do, now that we've got verification clear and out of the way, is actually look at your award letters and make sure you understand them. If you don't understand them, people like your Beyond 12 coaches can help you walk through those. You can also reach out to the financial aid office and ask for some help. Understand that it is their job to help you. They don't have a job without you being there. So it is in their interest to help you understand. Make sense? All right, just want to make sure we're all clear. With that, make sure you're understanding, as Khadijah said, how much of this is scholarships, how much is grants, how much is loans, how much is that word that we don't really want to touch if we don't have to. Make sure you understand what you're getting into. Also ask, and you can ask this point blank, how much of this funding is renewable? Some schools have a practice of front-loading first-year students. So they'll offer you a lot of grants and a lot of scholarship dollars up front. And then when you come back for sophomore year, junior year, senior year, oh, that funding was only available for freshmen. So maybe they offered you $7,000, $8,000, $10,000, but now that's not available your second year. You need to make sure that you're prepared to figure that out and that you can afford that before you take that step. So ask those questions now. You can literally ask, pull out your phones, put it in a group chat. Is my funding renewable? Is the word you want to use, renewable. And if it is not renewable by year, that is a thing to consider. Ask them, what might my financial aid package look like next year if my finances don't change? And then figure out what that looks. Whoever you trust to have these conversations with, have them on the phone with you, have them in the room, but make sure you've got a solid plan. You also want to develop a budget. And there are tools sometimes on the college's website with that. There's also an Achieve Atlanta tool on our website that you can use, We also offer what's called a student assistance program that has a number of benefits that are available to you and your family. One of those is that you can go to our website, find the phone number, call them pretty much 24 hours a day, and say, hey, I need help putting together a budget. I'm an Achieve Atlanta student. And when you say, I'm an Achieve Atlanta student, they'll say, hold please, and then transfer you to someone who will sit down and help you write out a budget over the phone. And that is free of charge to you. So you have tools, you have options, but make sure you have a budget laid out for yourself. Any questions there?
I just want to take 30 seconds to re-emphasize that for y'all. How many of y'all as high school students have jobs right now?
Oh, we
Love it. Independence. So did I. I worked at Cascade Skating Rink proudly. How many of y'all budget your money out when you get your check, though?
Ooh.
Okay.
Now,
It
how
dwindled.
how many of us are actually doing that or just know that we can't really see you?
It dwindled a little bit, and that's okay. That's okay. But if 10 years ago I could be sitting in your chair hearing the information I was hearing and budgeting at your age, once I got to college, I wouldn't be in the college debt I'm in right now. You know what I mean? And so I really want y'all to use the tools and resources that are being offered to y'all, because it's not fun to have financial stress while you also have classes and you also have a social life and you also trying to maintain your mental health. You don't want to enter college in that space. And I think it's a lot easier as out-of-state students because you're away from home and it's easier to be on your own in it and experience that on your own. And so really, really, really use these resources and create a budget for yourselves. Do not eat out every weekend. If you can't afford it, that's okay. Just say no. Just learn to say no.
No, those are valid points. And understand that in your schools right now, you have access to a lot of people who went to college already. Ask your teachers, ask your principal, ask your vice principal, ask whomever around you. Ask them how many of them are still paying off that one weekend where they decided to go to a fancy restaurant and pay with loans, and they're still paying those loans off decades later. Ask how many of them are still paying off that bag they had to have, and they don't even know where it is anymore, but they're still paying for it. Please make sure you're using these resources. Please. We also want to make sure you're using your academic resources. So let's talk a little bit about academic preparation, because after all, that's the whole reason you're there. So what do we know about academic resources? What supports do colleges offer to students? Anybody, shout it out. Tutoring, yep, heard that, valid. Anything else? Mentoring, some will offer mentoring, absolutely, and you should ask if that's important for you. Advising, absolutely. Is your hand up?
The number one answer is still on the floor. Yeah,
Congratulations. Oh, man. She said office hours. I'm wondering if Suzanne has any more giveaways. No? Okay. But yes, office hours. Very, very, very powerful. Can you talk a little bit about why?
Definitely, definitely. So office hours is I'm just going to say it. Office hours is a space where your professors are required to have free time set in their calendar to sit and wait for you to come to their office or wherever they decide to hold office hours to support you. So that it's not class, it's not a study group, it's a space for you to go one-on-one, schedule some time with your professor, get to know them, ask questions, get clarity on things you may need clarity on, build rapport, find that mentor that you might need. If you really enjoy the professor's class and it's your major, you may make a lifelong connection just by going to office hours. And it's such an amazing resource because you get that one-on-one individual time that they are guaranteed to build into the schedule for you. And yeah, no tutor can give you what that professor can get. Well, I wouldn't say that, but I will say it's invaluable to utilize office hours for every single class, especially if it's connected to your major or something you're passionate about.
Absolutely. And as was mentioned in the larger session earlier, professors often know where those other scholarships are hidden. They know where those internship opportunities are. The connections that they've already made in the world will reach out to them and say, hey, we're looking for some students for this summer opportunity. Do you know anyone? And the someone you want them to know is you. So make sure you are visible, make sure you are seen, make sure you are known, and make sure you're known for the right things. That's important. You also want to make sure that you're leaning on them as a resource if you are running into trouble with the course. Professors are not there for the money most often, because many of them are not paid terribly well, but they are there for the love of whatever their field is, and they are there for the love of enriching and supporting students. They love the idea of training new professionals. However, when you go to ask for help, you need to be able to demonstrate that you've done the work. You cannot go to your professor and just say, Professor Katie, I don't understand anything, and not be able to explain what anything is. You need to be able to demonstrate, I read chapter 2, and when it got to this specific concept, I'm lost. They had me until about right here. When you can demonstrate to the professor that you are attempting the work, honestly, but you're stuck, they are so motivated to help you. But you have to be able to demonstrate that you've put in some time. They can also secretly help you sometimes get books for really cheap, because books are expensive. And there's a few other things that you can do to try to get some cheap books as well. Anybody know some of the tips, any of the tricks? Used books, yeah, absolutely. Anything else? The library, ooh, a powerful unlock. I respect that, somebody came prepared. So the library sometimes has books that are needed for courses, and sometimes the tutoring or the success office will as well. Sometimes they're what's called on reference. That means you cannot take it back to your dorm. You cannot leave with that book, but you can sit there and study with it. And if you build time into your schedule, which you all should do, when you get your syllabus, which is essentially the document that lays out everything that will happen in this course, you should look at the due dates for assignments, look at the dates for exams and quizzes, and put those into your calendar. If you need to, invite your coach, invite a mentor, invite a parent, invite another classmate to that calendar invite, have an accountability buddy. Your parent might say, what in the world is this thing you put on my calendar? But then you say, oh, that's when I need to do this big project. Now that's somebody who can say, hey, did you actually do this thing? And help you hold yourself accountable. But you are accountable to that syllabus. And that syllabus will tell you all the books you need for that class, all the materials, and when things will be introduced. Sometimes there's a secret assignment hidden inside the syllabus to see if you read it. And if you don't read it, you've already missed your first assignment. So make sure you're reading that document. Make sure you're reading that document. Now, when it tells you the books that you need, I want you to be prepared for this frustration, because it may happen to you. Sometimes you might need 4 books for one class. And you might only need chapter 4 out of this one book. And you might need the glossary out of another one. And you might not use that book for anything else. So you want to make sure you understand that. Ask your professors or your TAs if you're not sure. Please know that there are places you can go to find books for cheap. Sometimes if you get a used edition, that's good. If you get an older edition, you want to ask your professor if you can use an older edition. But sometimes the second edition is just the first edition with an additional picture on page 39. And they call it a second edition, and now the book is $300 again. But the information may not have changed. Ask the professor if you can use that older edition, because now it only costs $17. That's a way to be tricky about that. You also want to look at websites like Chegg.com. Sometimes you can rent the textbook instead of buying it. Sometimes you can rent just the chapter that you need, and they'll give you access to an online PDF. So there are some ways to be creative, but your professors will also know about those ways. You also want to write this down, type it out, whatever you need to do. There's a thing called open source textbooks that some professors will let you use. And open source textbooks are essentially textbooks that are written by other colleges, and other professors have looked over the information to make sure it's accurate, and then they just make it available for free so that you can do well in classes without having to have $1 billion. So we've been talking about social emotional support throughout, but I want to make sure we really drive this point home. First of all, I need you all to say that self-care is not selfish. Say that one more time. And I need you to believe in that. We need you to believe in that, because you can't show up the way that you need to for yourself. You can't be the things you want to be for your family or for your community if you are not caring for yourself. And that is something your coach can help with.
Yes, and I want to emphasize coaching because I think a lot of times when we enter college, I wasn't fully aware of what coaching was until I became a college coach. And so coaching is not, you have a problem, I'm going to fix it for you. Don't you worry, baby, I got you. That's not coaching. That's not what it's going to be. It is a complete coactive relationship, meaning you have to give, the coach has to give. They're going to guide you. They're going to champion you. They're going to just give you descriptive praise. They're going to ask questions to challenge you for you to find the answers. But the whole belief is that y'all are creative on your own. You're resourceful on your own, and you are whole on your own. You don't need me. You don't need anything other than what God gave you, honestly, to accomplish the things you want to accomplish in life. But it's about tapping into that. It's about having somebody to support you, to talk to you about what you're feeling, to help you understand what you're feeling, help you understand as you step into your adulthood, as you step into these responsibilities and this new chapter of life, who you are, where your power lies, what you need to do with your time, what you shouldn't do with your time, so you can really live up to your full potential. And that social emotional support is crucial through college. It's so crucial through college because your values will be tested. You are not going to be home. You do not have to check in with your parents every night. You're not even going to be in the same state. And so it's going to be things that are going to really test you, and you're going to need a safe space to talk about it. And sometimes it's uncomfortable to start with your parents, and that's okay. But you need to find your support system on campus, through your coach, through somebody who has been in your shoes before or you feel safe with, that you feel like you can really express your truth to, so you can continue to work towards your own personal growth. And that's really what this is about when it comes to Beyond 12 and what we do in our programming. There's homesickness that you may battle. There's financial struggle that you may battle. You might have issues with your roommate. You may have issues in your love life. You may have issues with your academics, with your professors. You may just get into a space of anxiety around everything you're managing and balancing and not know how to express what anxiety is. You may fall into depression. I've been there personally. And so all those things are normal. There's nothing wrong with you. It's nothing to be ashamed of, but it is something to share and to be supported through. And so I want y'all to unlearn what I think a lot of us feel and know at this age of like, I got it, I know everything, I'm low-key grown. Y'all are low-key, but you still need support no matter how grown you get in life. And I think that's what you need to learn and burn into your psyches, like throughout the rest of your lives. Like support is something that is there for me. It's a part of my self-care, whether that's therapy, whether that's a conversation, whether that's me just calling somebody because I just need to get it off my chest. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, making sure that you're taking care of yourself, because you're not going to be able to show up as a student if you're not doing what you need to do as a person. And your coach can help you think through those things. If there are difficult conversations you need to have on campus, if there are resources you need to seek on campus, your coach can support you in that as well. The last thing I'll drive home before we get into any last second questions is you do not have to identify, but if you have an IEP or a 504 plan, or you know someone who does, please understand that when your school sends information to your college, it does not include your IEP or your 504 plan. Please understand that your college cannot ask you whether you have an IEP or a 504 plan. Legally, they are not allowed to ask. If you would like accommodations, if you think that's something you would benefit from, it is up to you to let the school know. So sometimes they have a disability services office or an access office. Every school will call it something different, but they are required to offer you accommodations and supports if it is something that you would like and you can demonstrate need for. But you have to let them know, and then they can work you through the process. So we can transition to questions. We are a couple seconds over, but want to make sure if there's anything on the floor that you need to get out, we are here. Any questions at all? Oh, so you couldn't transfer your scholarship as long as you're transferring to an eligible institution. Yep, and just you do have to tell us. Otherwise, we won't know where to send the check. All right. Does that answer your question? Feel good? Perfect. Any other questions at all? But hopefully you find the school that's right for you the first time around. Yes. Yeah, that's a great question. We will send you something to renew your scholarship every term. You are not locked in for life. You have to let us know every term. You have to demonstrate that you are still enrolled, that you are still taking classes. So every term we'll ask you, hey, are you still here? Are you sure? And then you'll say, nope, I'm actually going over there. And we'll say, oh, okay. And then we'll run through that process and send the check to the right place as long as it's eligible. Any other questions? Yes. So your coach might be able to support you over breaks over the summer. We typically don't, but Achieve Atlanta offices are still open over the summer. And you have questions, if you have questions, we can direct you to people.
And I can, yeah, so with Beyond 12, our coaching program is open year-round. There may be times where you tell your coach, and we respect that, just like, I'm home for Thanksgiving, I'm good. Or like, I'm home for Christmas break, I'm all right this month. And they'll be like, okay, cool, I'll talk to you in January. But the only months I could see there being gaps is probably December and July for winter, when our offices are closed, and then July when we're training.
All right, if we're all feeling safe in this space, can we get some snaps going? Oh, I love this. All right. Well, with that, thank you so much for letting us be part of this journey. Please reach out with any questions later, and we release you back into the world.